9 months pregnant African lady is facing up to 12 years in prison. This is a very interesting story that we have for you today. She might not even see her children again. Her children are no longer in her care. A family's future hung in the balance. It all started with one small decision that Zainab, this lady, made. Zainab was brought from Africa by her husband Musa with 2 children. Musa is fully settled in the UK. And when he brought his wife, she never thought that prison would be part of the deal when she arrived. How they were living. Expecting baby number 4. She brought 2 children from the UK and she had 1 in the UK, so expecting baby number 4. They were all living in a 1-bedroom house, flat in London. That was what they were living in. The reason this lady is facing jail will shock you when you find out. Arriving from an African country into a complex system, learning unfamiliar rules and expectations, depending heavily on her husband's legal status in the UK, the housing dream. They've applied for housing on the waiting list for a long time. Zainab was getting frustrated that she was going to have the 4th baby in a small 1-bedroom flat. She's tired of calling the council. Every time she calls, they tell her, your situation is not as bad as other family. Now, Zainab then ran out of frustration. She ran into an old friend who was in similar situation. This old friend was recently given a 3-bedroom house. And the old friend said, wow, the way I did mine, if I tell you, you do the same, you will get yours. The friend described a quick solution. Separation was claim, not leave. Children were used as leverage. The reward was immediate house. This friend said, my sister, if you do this, you won't have any worry again. I did it and you worked for me. When Zainab met this friend, the friend suggested a solution. Tell the council you and your husband are separated. Your husband, you're no longer home, you have nowhere to go, you're a single mom, expecting baby number 4 and you're pregnant. But Zainab said, I don't have a job, my sister. I have pre-settled EU status. Say, don't worry, my sister. You don't have a job. There are ways we will do that. Don't worry. I have the solution, even if you don't have a job. The friend said, I introduced Zainab to somebody that gave Zainab prepared pay slip that Zainab is working. Zainab then approached the council and a visa was renewed, employment was checked, but there was a problem. The problem is Zainab payslip had limited hours. Housing criteria mean that for EU citizens, you have to be working enough hours for you to be able to claim council house. Council house application was denied. Zainab was disappointed again that everything that the friend told her that it was going to be easy, it's not easy. Then she went back to the friend. The friend said, don't worry, I would refer you to the same person that did the first pay slip, and we will come up with another solution for you that will help you. There's a solution. The friend added another pay slip to show that Zainab had 2 jobs. This time around, when you combine the 2 hours, it should be enough. Zainab went back in confidence, thinking, yes, I have it now, I should be able to get it. She claimed she had a 2nd job, explained that, oh, I forgot the first time. Now I have the proof, I have 2 jobs. They said, no problem. Now that you have new evidence, come on, let's treat your application again. Payslip, additional payslip prepared. She submitted a P60 and self-assessment document that she's working. Everything from the outside looked perfectly fine. When you're dealing with housing, the authenticity, they have to verify the authenticity of the stuff. They also said we needed to speak to your landlord because you said your landlord, you've been asked to leave and you haven't gone anywhere to go, but we need to speak to your landlord. They contacted the person she put down as the landlord, who happens to be someone from the same community that she comes from. It became clear when they were talking to the landlord that the landlords sleep, the so-called landlords sleep, and say, yes, they are still together, she and her husband. When challenged, she said, oh, the last time the landlord thought we are still together, we were still together, we're still trying to work on our relationship, but right now, we're no longer together. So, okay, since that's what you're saying, then Zainab, when she said that, they checked her bank statement, they saw some transaction going to the so-called husband. You said you and your husband are no longer together, but money was going to this guy as back as a few days ago. Explained that housing started suspecting that something is not right with this woman's application. When they tried to contact the husband, when the husband started seeing red flag, they couldn't get hold of the man. Let us check the company where she works. They checked the company online. They found out that the first and second company that she said she works for belong to the same person with similar name as her, which shows that they are from the same community. The pattern suggests that there is organized fraud going on here, but housing did not want to pull the trigger. They wanted to gather enough evidence. What did they do? They contacted HM Revenue and Custom Tax Office. Payslip, those ones said, send us the payslip, send up the P60, send us the self-assessment, let us check. As soon as they saw it, they said, this is fake. But don't tell anybody, because we are hearing a lot of reports that people are doing this, especially people from this community where this woman comes from in Africa. The investigation linked the husband to fraud. The third person that prepared the document for them, that person's name has been on the radar. And in this fraud alone, more than close to 400,000 have been gone to this family. Now the question, HRM started work. Instead of comforting her, they did not comfort. They say, do not comfort her. Invite her to come to your office. Leave her. She was invited back. Meanwhile, on the day of her appointment, that is the day the revenue office have already told the police that the day she's arrested, the person that is giving her the document, they want to arrest the same person the same day. So Zainab, that day, according to report, she had a Muslim hijab. She went there. Oh, my sister, I've come for the house. And they invited her, come, we have good news for you. She thought she was going to be given a house that day, not knowing that the police officer was there. And the police officer was still in the other guy that claimed that the guy that owns the company that gave them the document, officers were still in the guy's house that very day. When she arrived in the office, Zainab, she was arrested. She came that day with one of her child. Two of the children were at school. She was arrested and taken away. Three children, they could not find anyone from their community who was willing to have her 3 children. The husband could not be located. He has done a runner. She remained in custody while she's pregnant. And the woman was taken away and even refused bail because of they said that she's flight risk, that she would escape. Initially pleaded not guilty. The case went to court and she has now been found guilty. Whilst all this thing was going on, she was warned, say, stop, this is not going to work. She said, no. When your dog starts barking, wah, 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 like a lion, just know that the dog is going to die. What is the final warning? She has been convicted, awaiting sentencing. The system always investigates. Fraud leaves permanent scar. Shortcomings carry devastating consequence. Truth always finds a way. Now, which country in Africa? I know as you're watching me, you're thinking Nigeria. Frank did not say Nigeria because this woman is from Nigeria. That is your bias. She comes from a country in Africa that starts with S. Now, this country has been in the news recently. There's a state in America called Minnesota. The country, people from that country, they have committed fraud worth over $300 million. Trump is always banging about people from this country. So you know the country, that is where the woman comes from. But it's not a country. Any country, people do this regardless of their country. And this woman has destroyed her life, her children. She may not see her children again. The husband cannot be traced. What is your view? Do you have any sympathy for this woman? Or do you think that, yes, justice has been done? This will serve as a lesson to her. Let me know what your views are in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Someone will learn from this story.